When people ask me how I make money in Grand Theft Auto, I often direct them to the races, and not necessarily winning those races. Although I'm not sure how the economics play out, at the end of each race a prize is awarded to every player who crosses the finish line. Thousands of dollars placed into their account given from the ubiquitous provider of unknown origin. If you race alone, there are few obstacles to coming in first, but the lack of competition decreases the prize value, fails to sharpen you as a competitor, racer, and player. Racing against opponents has its own challenges. Sometimes it takes a long time for everyone to even join the race. Sometimes your opponents know significantly more about the track than you do. Sometimes the mere presence of the competition prevents you from keeping your headlights pointed at the road. These difficulties can all lead to a less significant prize than that which is won while racing oneself. Also, making mistakes is easier on the ego when no one is watching. Of course, the ideal situation is to race an opponent who has a relatively comparable skill level. You'll still get the joy of competition, the incentive of racing, and the assignment of winning, but after enough finish line crosses, the whole event feels distracting rather than exciting, especially if the focus isn't on losing for fun, but for taking money. And it was taking a long time to take the money I needed to chase my arbitrarily decided dream. That is, the dream of buying a floating sanctuary, the only known place with an accessible hot tub for Francisco to finally peacefully relax within, and with as many people as possible at that. In my heart, I am with every gamer willing to put forth the toil and tribute to achieve their goals, races and missions, preserving hierarchies and ranking systems separating the strong-willed from the unskilled. But due to the game's developmental growth and my own rate of documentation, it was going to take a very long time not only to play the game, but to faithfully document the processes, as I have so far. I also must acknowledge that performing at least 1,600 more races was simply not the fastest way to achieve my dream within the game's world. The fastest way I had ever found money in Grand Theft Auto was when a cheater generated bags full of money and left them on the ground, risking both of our accounts, and if we're being honest, that's something I've never stopped secretly hoping for at least a little. But more realistically and more idealistically, at some point between the game's release and now, in-game money purchase had become a legitimized option. A one-way conversion factor of $80,000 to $100 US would buy Francisco an $8 million shark card, an instant $8 million in his bank account. Now, I'm sure there are many opinions about purchasing in-game money with real money. Paying to win is all too often a disappointing way to enjoy any game's world. But like I said, I haven't been trying to win. I've been trying to curate an optimal experience for a peaceful player in a world not completely unlike my own. As I have been learning throughout my time with him, Francisco's life and mine are not completely separate. His time is my time. His decisions are my decisions. The things I see him do and I see happen to him are permanently etched into my mind. When I began this experiment, it was from within the school of thought that when you log into a video game, you abandon yourself to become something different. Over time, however, I've realized that Francisco and I have a combined journey, 190 hours spent, purportedly, together. Forbidding any connection between his reality and mine was actually slowing down our progress within our respective shared lives, for reasons that did not violate my original goals of never hurting anyone. So I created a Kickstarter to at least open his world up to the opportunity. For the price of $5, I would sell admission to the christening party on the boat, where I would play original music and share whatever amenities the boat had to offer. I must concede that going into it, I did not know how to host a yacht party for people all around the world, or how the logistics of a Kickstarter worked. If I couldn't raise the $100, I would take it as an indication that the supporters of Francisco's journey didn't approve of this investment, and I would continue to seek money in my more traditional ways. I really didn't want to disappoint anyone, so a few months I considered not even trying. But I've decided that following your fears is the safest way to never succeed, and I also figured I should get failure out of the way so I could get back to losing races. The Kickstarter hit its goal within the first 18 minutes, a donation from someone who wasn't interested in attending. Many more tickets were sold, although some who purchased them did not provide a gamer tag or method of invite to the game world. All of the contribution was a clear indicator that asking the world for help was at worst possible. And now, please let me introduce you to the Sea King. 210 feet of semi-permanently anchored amazement. Amidst several facade doors, there is in fact a working deck entrance, and at any moment Francisco can summon all the surrounding players into the main cabin, which contains several bedrooms, bathrooms, and living areas. Upstairs is a bar with a bartender and a one drink at a time option, and a view of the second helicopter pad. The first comes equipped with a reappearing helicopter, which is actually worth a lot more than the helicopter I originally purchased. An outboard raft and a motorboat and 4 jet skis were also provided. These proved perfect for having a spontaneous race to the closest pier and back, which was a perfect lead-in to the entry of the hot tub. The party went on for 4 days, over which guests enjoyed drinks, fired rockets and fireworks into the night sky, took photographs, and of course finally relaxed in the hot tub. Francisco actually stayed in the hot tub for 1 entire day, talking about nonviolence, his journey, world exploration, and the peaceful opportunities available in games. Some players brought submarines and other aquatic vessels, which began to stack up like sandbox toys around the ship. As Francisco sang the music I had injected into my microphone, the more adventurous of us explored the ocean and eventually decided we should all do it together as an underwater scuba group. We decided to take the party to the nearby town where we purchased underwater diving suits to explore the nearby coastline. The scuba gear cost $150,000 each, and one of the partygoers couldn't afford it, only the much lower cost rebreathers. Even after the warnings of some of the more advanced divers, our under-equipped partygoer died from swimming too deeply and or running out of oxygen. I thought it unfair to have an undersea party where not everyone could participate, so to the recommendation of another player we set off to raise cash. The first idea was to join an organization. I was still pretty unfamiliar with the methods behind the company Peace Concepts that Francisco was in charge of. So another player stepped in to lead us in a venture called Sightseer. Now, Sightseer is a series of missions that require the CEO of the company to solve a cryptography puzzle in order to reveal a briefcase on the map to be retrieved. Completing this task 3 times would net all the players on the team $25,000 each. With the help of the CEO's giant cargo plane, we accomplished the mission in a few minutes, which set up a cooldown timer of 15 minutes. The timer did not affect Francisco's company, however, so we all left biotech, and I invited the remaining partygoers to Peace Concepts. This time, Francisco had the responsibility to defeat the encryption puzzles and pick up the briefcases, which featured a few dangerous falls, which weren't so bad that a few candy bars couldn't completely heal the damage taken. There's no way for players to give other players money directly, and the party had already gone on for several days. After 4 missions, the day's business ended as spontaneously as it had begun, and the partygoers went their separate ways. I didn't know what would happen next, but for the longest time I've believed that it was possible to enjoy GTA Online without fighting other people. Although most of the time we spent together wasn't gamified with some kind of metric or point system, the games we decided to play together were fun, and the removal of the absolute need to take every moment of the day was wildly comforting. We worked together to make peaceful progress within the organization and started for that reason, and appreciated the beauty of the world. We did the kinds of things I guess you do if you have a yacht, and the kinds of things I'd like to do with people I've never met before. I don't know what Peace Concepts will do with the remaining $170, although I know for the time being I'm going to keep trying to play with as many people as I can. Working together with other people has helped me achieve these idealistic goals much faster than I could do alone, and I couldn't even imagine enjoying this experience by myself anyway. I'm really happy that I was a part of the stories of these players and that this adventure is now part of your story too. I hope you play the games that you want to play, how you want to play them, according to the principles that are most important to you.